What if your issue managing time wasn't actually about time management, but instead was more about your personal development, priority management, time allocation, and character development? Let's talk about it today on the podcast. Welcome to the Love in Progress podcast, where we deep dive into self-reflection and healing as a catalyst for better relationships and leadership. I am your host and educator, Neena, and I'm here to be a guide to you in that process. Let's get started. Now, I know that I'm going to ruffle some feathers because my number one objection in personal development is, yeah, Neena, I'd love to do all this stuff, but I do not have the time. And I'm here to argue that you absolutely have the time. You just have not made your personal growth or the things that you want to accomplish a priority in your life. It's not about time management, my friends. All of us have the exact same 24 hours in the day, but some people get a heck of a lot more done and seem to be moving forward towards their goals a lot more steadily than we are. And it's not because they have more hours in the day. It's because they have found a way to get more done, specifically the things that they want to get done that are going to help move the needle in the areas that they care about. And that's what I want to focus on today, because we use time so much as an excuse to not move forward in so many different areas, whether that's relationships, business development, our own personal growth, self-care. Time comes up as an objection all the time. So as we're starting out, I really want you to understand that time is your currency. How you spend it is going to either grow in investments or it's going to wither away and truly be spent. It's going to be wasted into time pits that will not develop anything successful or progressive or expansive or even joy-filled in your life. So in order for us to break out of this cycle of thinking, I'm too busy, I don't have time for XYZ things, I want you to take back your power in this moment as you're listening to this podcast today. The time is an opportunity for you to show what you want to create in your life, and it's time to quit arguing for your limitations and fighting for your successes, your future self, the best future relationships that you have possible, because you're pouring that beautiful currency of your own time into something meaningful. Now, I want to kind of set the foundation here, understanding that time is truly a compound effect, meaning even though you're allocating small portions of your time, if you're doing that consistently over and over and over and over and over again, then you'll be able to have a pretty excellent result in that compound. For example, if you want to learn a new instrument and you decide, I'm going to sit down and put 20 hours in this nonstop, your fingers are going to get tired, your brain's going to get tired, your willpower is going to get tired. It's going to be really tough to learn the way that you want to in that 20-hour block of time. However, if you were to decide over the next 5 days that you were going to practice 4 hours, or better yet, over the next 20 days, you were going to practice 1 hour, you would be able to have that emotional and mental resiliency and capacity to be able to learn it. And those 20 hours would showcase in likely better results than if you were to just try to kick it out all at once. We do the same thing with some of our goals. We say, oh yeah, I'm just going to sit down and hammer this out. And listen, it does work for short timed goals, but if you've got a real goal to build a business or develop a relationship to be a relationship of trust, or you want to get more physically fit or more mentally resilient, it's going to take that compounding effect of small investments of time consistently repeated to be able to get the kind of results that you want. This is a good opportunity for you to take 100% responsibility, my friend. Nobody else is going to put forth the growth towards your goal the same way that you do, because no one has that passion inside themselves about your goals like you do. So when you understand, I'm 100% responsible for my time, for my investment, for this ever-growing and compounding effect, then you really understand how important even tiny pockets of time can be. Because if we truly believe that the compound effect is true, Our lives are simply a compounding effect of our daily, meaning hourly, minutely, even every secondly choice regarding the allocation and focus of our time. And that's the thing I want to emphasize today when we're talking about time management is you can technically say you spent a lot of time on something, but how much were you focused on it? How much were you devoted into that action? How much were you putting your effort into that allocation of your time? And listen, I still think that rest is productive. I still schedule in sleep. I still schedule in meditation. I still schedule in quiet walks with myself and with my partner. I think all of those things can be purposeful in a proper allocation of time. It doesn't mean you have to pack in your day with productivity. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying allocation, intention, and focus with whatever you're putting that allocation into is what's going to create the most productive results. So I want to ask you a question here. Pull out your notebooks and let's do some journaling and reflecting, shall we? I want to ask you, what do you want to create in your life? What do you want? Do you want a happy and healthy home? Do you want a successful, thriving, passive income business? Do you want to help facilitate children who make moral choices? What do you want to create in your life? Because very cliche saying, just like the Cheshire Cat, if you don't know where you're going, it doesn't matter what path you take to it. And I can tell you the times that I felt like my time was wasted the most was when I did not know what I wanted to create. And so my time management kind of reflected that. And complementary to that, what character traits do you value most in yourself? What are you hoping to become? And the next podcast, I'm actually going to deep dive more into this, but this is just as important as the situations that you want to curate in your life. In fact, I'd say it's more important. Who do you want to become in the process? And guess what? You can count yourself absolutely as something you want to create in your life. I want to create a certain type of person through my growth experiences, because certainly that's going to help facilitate in creating situations where I can be successful in those areas. So now that you've thought about what you want to create, you can pause the podcast for a second if you need a second. But now that you've thought of what you want to create most in your life, I want you to really, alongside that, write down a couple of things that you value most and who you want to become. Things that I value, again, are quality connections and relationships in my life, physical and mental wellness, financial stability and peace. What are the things that you value most? Take a second to write that down too. And now that you have a clear idea of what you're creating based on what you value and who you want to become, effective time management is simply this: setting out time, systems, routines, and habits each day to make small steps towards those things. That's it. That's it. Can I just tell you that that's going to relieve so much strain and stress over your daily decision fatigue? You can look back and say, is this activity I'm engaging in going to help me develop the life that I want to create or the person that I want to create? And is it aligned with my values? And if it's a no, then get it out of your schedule. Get it out of your habits. Gosh, if this podcast teaches you nothing else, let it help you review that you do not have to be reactionary in your life, that you can set out a beautifully curated life that can be free-flowing and exciting and a journey because you know what you're trying to create. You don't have to just respond to whatever shows up and, oh my gosh, now this is taking up all my time. Even little things, let me give you an example. Even little things start to become purposeful. For instance, yesterday we had an interesting experience in my house where we had some unexpected flooding. And one of the things I value is a clean and tidy home. And so while I was responding to this seemingly crisis situation, the whole time I was thinking, wow, this is a really great chance for me to clean up my house a little bit more detailed. In fact, I mentioned that to my kids as we were mopping up the water. I was like, man, this floor has never been cleaner. What a cool opportunity for us to really get in there and clean a lot of this up. It's got water in places it's never been before. So I started to look at even the quote unquote emergency situations as an opportunity to respond to the things that I value and the life that I want to create. It's all working in harmony and in purpose. And listen, it didn't change the situation. I could have looked at that situation and said, well, crap, this is a really awful situation. I can't believe these things happened to me. It's wasting my time. But instead, I'm looking at it like, I don't think I'm going to have to mop the floor as well this week. It's not what's happening to you, my friend. It's not. It's how you're interpreting it. So going back to this, you're like looking at what it is that you want to create. What do you value? What do you want to become? And then you're like, okay, Neena, now that I know those things, I'm supposed to set it out in my time. Easier said than done. I got a family. I got work obligations. I got XYZ. Well, my friends, that's arguing for your excuses. That's arguing for your limitations. Let's change the narrative and say, yes, you have a lot of wonderful creative things already in motion. You have a lot of positive momentum in the areas that you have previously invested in. And those are running right now. Those are systems that you can either opt into to continue to perpetuate in your time and schedule, or you can look at it and say, I'm going to reallocate my time. Case in point, we had COVID happen, to the world 3 years ago. My kids were in multiple activities. We pulled out of all of those. Everything stopped in the world. And when it started to reemerge back into those regular, sports were starting up again, musical programs are starting up again, lessons were starting up again, I decided to not opt into a lot of it, most of it, because I realized that the simplicity in my family life was facilitating deeper connections with my children. And that is something I value more than them being on a 3-year-old soccer team. Now, I'm not saying you have to release all of those things, but what I'm saying is that if we were to just start fresh, would you choose into some of the systems and the habits of how you're spending your time right now? That's a reflection question for you right there. And if it's a no, like, gosh, this is not perpetuating a lifestyle that I want to create, then stop it. Don't continue with it anymore. I give you the permission. Now, I know that when you look at all of that, you may say, I've got a lot of obligations. I got a lot of people depending on me. But here's what I want to tell you. How are you doing in those obligations, in those responsibilities, in those relationships, if you are resenting the time that you're investing into them? That's a big question to ask. That's why it's so important for us to reassess our priority management, our time allocation, our character development. We got to do this regularly, because if you're investing that time into something that just isn't aligned with you anymore, that's exactly what you're going to perpetuate: resentment. It's awful. It's awful to put the people that you're in relationships in that position as a target towards your resentment because your time isn't matching your values. So, what do you do? Well, if you're ready to reassess, this is what I would recommend. Sit down. Write down 5 to 7 qualities of the person you want to become and the life you want to create. Let me give you some examples. I really want to be a person who is in touch with the divine. That's a characteristic that I really want. I want to see the power of Source and God creating all around me and through me every day. That's something I want in my life. That's something that I really have to block out in my day to feel that sense of fulfillment and connection. So that's something that I have on that short list of things that I build into my schedule that give me fuel towards feeding that fire. I also want to be a patient and playful mother so that my home can be fun and enjoyable, and that my children want to be in, that I can hear them randomly laughing or randomly singing in my house. That's what I want. I want to be a connective and loving partner who creates a relationship of high communication, high trust, and high play. Right? Are you starting to get the vision here? I want you to start creating that vision for yourself, for your life, so you can truly fall in love with your schedule. You can fall in love with the beautiful actions and habits that will just naturally take place in your day because you're building a life that's moving you forward towards the life that you love. And you can truly enjoy it. Even those hard things, even those crisis situations become purposeful because you know what you're creating. Now that you have a few of those ideas, I would really encourage you to get clear on that. Who am I becoming? What am I wanting to create? Both of those things together. And then that's the place that you're going to go into your schedule and allocate time to develop that. What would that look like? For me, as a big goal for me being divinely guided, I've got to have stillness, and I got to do it first thing in the day. That miracle morning routine is key for me to get in alignment before I look at my phone, before I check my email, before I even look at my schedule, before I even talk or look at my children. I have to get my mind and my spirit aligned for the day because I don't want to act in my home or in my relationships before I get that alignment. I just don't. I know it's not going to be the best place. Likewise, if I want to have a connection and a quality relationship that's loving with my partner, I've got to allocate some time away from the kids to be able to have those quality conversations. So we block out time every night together. We block out date nights every single week. Those go into my schedule. You're seeing now? So I'm going to actually provide a little freebie for you here in the show notes where you can download a PDF that I've developed that's going to help you get clear on these elements and help you build out a schedule to reflect what you value most, that character development, that life of beautiful creation, and gosh, having it align with your values. Now, lastly, I just want to tell you this. What you water grows. It's simple, but true. If you want to have a life where you're feeling like you're divinely guided, you've got to spend time being divinely guided, or at least developing characteristics of someone who is, so that can grow. If you want to have an organized, clean home, you've got to spend some time cleaning it each day. If you want to be buff, you want to be cut, you want to be physically fit, then you got to do some push-ups every day. What you water will grow. And I'm here to tell you with all my heart, you can create the life that you love. Whatever you imagine is truly possible. The only limitations on that are those beliefs that you hold in your head that you can't do it. Those are junk. Let them go. Plant the seed of belief of what kind of life you want, and then go water it. Build in those habits. And I promise you, you will see the growth. Time management is your key to creating your life. A life that is fulfilling and rich and filled with daily joy. And you deserve it. So go out and build it. I'm rooting for you. This is a big part of you living well, my friend. So go live well. I'll see you on the next podcast.